Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ranting Shop. It's me, Melissa, and today we're going to be reviewing Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now, this episode was actually there wasn't much happening except for Melody and Martell's bickering. Besides that, the show was pretty much very lame. But we're just gonna get into it because that's what we do. So, we're at Melody's office. Melody's office is filled with pictures of her and her kids. And I don't know, something about her office just screams conceited to me. Now, I know that Melody has a little bit of narcissism in her because, to be honest with you, as I keep telling you guys, Melody and Martell are literally the same. They're equally as vindictive, they're equally as troublesome, they're equally as conceited. They're basically the same person. It's just that Melody is good at garnering sympathy, and people already tend to be more empathetic towards Melody because a lot of women have gone through what she has gone through with being cheated on and having been divorced and all these things. So she has that on her side. Another thing she has is the gift of gab. She's very good at speaking. She's very good at explaining herself. She's very good at getting herself out of what may seem like seemingly tough situations. So she's really good vocally speaking. And that is what sets her apart from Martell. Martell doesn't seem that smart. He seems actually very instinctive, in not instinctive, impulsive in the way he argues with her, whereas I think Melody is more technical. So Martell may say something, it's not that what he says is necessarily untrue, but maybe the way he says it, she has leeway to deny it and say that it's not true, so in that way she's very smart. Okay, let's get into it. So they're at Melody's office because they're going to see if the comeback group has a chance or not, whether they're gonna continue on or whether they're gonna dissolve. Now, back in 2019, I believe in season one, they were going back and forth on whether they'd want to stay in the comeback group or not, because a lot of grimy things were happening. They were not on the same page and so on and so forth. Melody never wanted to continue on with the comeback group. It was Martell that wanted, or was in two minds. So anyways, Mel and Marceau, before everybody comes in, they discuss last week's blow up with the moms and Tisha's mom coming up, Melody's mom, saying that she slept with a married man. Now, if we don't know, there was a rumor back then when the Scotts and the Holts were beefing, where Marceau stated that he had a sex tape of Melody's mom, because apparently Melody's mom was with one of Marceau's brothers or something of that sort. So, and allegedly, the reason why Melody does not have a relationship with her dad is because her mom was with him when he was married. So what happened was, he did not, I suppose he did not declare or publicly want people to know that he had an outside child, I guess, because he had a particular reputation to uphold. So because of that, Melody's relationship with her dad suffered. So I think that's where Miss what is her name, Miss Wanda, was going with the thing about Vanessa being with a married man. But we don't know if that's true or not. But it would explain why Melody's relationship with her dad is so strained, and the relationship with her siblings as well is also not the strongest, because Melody was the outside child, whereas they were born within a marriage, So Miss Vanessa denied it, but I do believe that would explain why Melody's relationship with her dad is not so great. But anyways, so they're talking about that blow up, and Melody is saying that why would Wanda have to say that? She came in like thinking Wanda, she hadn't seen Wanda in a while. She thought everything was cool. And then she's hearing Wanda saying this about her mom. And then Marceau sympathized with Melody and was like, why would Wanda do that? That's wrong, But at the same time, it's a little bit hypocritical because just last season, he was the one that started the rumors of Melody's mom having a sex tape, So it's a little bit hypocritical. So, anyways, Tisha pops up and says that if her relationship with Mel wasn't on a good page, that would probably cause a bigger rift between Mel and her. So a good thing their relationship is now on a mends, because then they're able to listen to each other and keep themselves out of the drama with their parents and not make it a personal thing. So anyways, that was that. So the guys come in. I'm saying, will they work? Won't they work? Mel asked where her kids were, and Martell said in her office. Now, the reason why I think Melody got so upset is because if Melody did not ask about where her children was, Martell would never disclose the fact that the children were in her office. So I think that is what really pissed her off. So she says some aggressive words and goes to say hi to them, because she's like, I don't believe you have my kids right here and I'm here and you didn't even inform me that my kids were here. So she's like, let me go say hi to my kids and make sure that you're not doing crazy stuff in the room. So to somebody that's watching the show, they may look at that response and think that, okay, that is an exaggerated response. Why is she being so angry? Why is she being so upset? But I think it's because she knows Martell, and she knows that Martell was essentially trying to keep the kids from her in a sense, because it's his turn with the kids. And I feel like when it's his turn with the kids, he doesn't want Melody involved in his time with the kids. He didn't have anywhere for the children to go. He brought them with him. But I don't think his intention was necessarily for the kids to really interact with Melody. Like, that's my explanation of why he, I guess, waited to tell Melody. I have no idea. Anyways, we'll learn about Melody's explanation for what he did. So, Melody disagrees to the possibility of future joint ventures because of Martell's lips, she said. But the actual reason why she, I suppose, was turned off was because she, of course, learned from Chris that Martell and Marceau wanted to do work on the 47 acres behind her back. But actually what happened was Marceau was telling Martell somewhat to include Melody in it, and would he be good with Melody working on it as well. So it wasn't a sneaky thing where Marceau was like gonna just join with Martell and do this thing behind Melody's back. He ensured and asked thoughtful questions like, why don't you include, or would you be comfortable including Melody? Yes, he did do that sneaky stuff behind Melody's back, and to me, it just seemed as if he wanted to scoop it from under her, because he feels as if she's winning enough and he wants to win, so he wanted to take that from her and she wasn't having it. So that pissed her off. So, then she tells Martell to shut his mouth. I said she was being very disrespectful to Martell when she told him to shut his mouth, and he wasn't having it at all. So that was his, I suppose, the final jab from Melody, and he decided to strike. So he hit her where he know is gonna bother her, and said that she was a neglectful parent, and then he proceeded to walk out. Maurice brings up the fact that Mel and Martell were once so very intertwined, and if you guys saw the first season and the beginning of the second season, you would see that they were doing everything together. They had each other's back even at the reunion, and I think that's the very first season. was the time I didn't really like Melody that much because I felt like she was being mean for no reason, and her and Martell were being disgusting towards the other people, and that really bothered me. But clearly that's why I get the notion that they're literally the same person. So they're saying that they're so intertwined, and now look at this, what's going on. So Melody's like, she's fine, and he's the problem. But that's not true. Melody is still hurting. Despite her winning, and Martell not doing very well, she is still hurting. It hurts her still that Martell cheated on her, because every single time they have an argument, the ending is always, oh, you should have kept your penis in the household, or you shouldn't have been running around these streets, or that is always the last thing she says. So it just proves that it still bothers her, despite her trying to act like it doesn't. So yes, Martell is hurting way more than Melody is. That was Marceau's reasoning. But I also think it's because Melody is hurting too. So Melody gets a call that Mariah is crying. So Martell is coming up with this BS excuse that, oh, it was because the office used to be theirs, but now it's only Melody's. That is not why the child was crying. So just cut the crap. She probably heard them arguing. Plus, he left with them without them saying goodbye to their mom. So them saying it's all about the office, that's a lie. It's because the child felt or heard her parents arguing, and that is why she cried. So Marceau put some sense into Martell and tells him to stop this stuff. Stop arguing with Melody. Stop. You're the man. You should be in control of your emotions. Don't let Melody's emotional self drag you into fighting with her. You're a man. You know how Marceau is so misogynistic, But in his misogyny, I felt like he did give Marceau some good advice. Stop taking the bait. Stop falling for it. Let it go. Now they say that the kids are the most important, but they don't put them first in their actions. That is where we truly see whether the kids are placed first or not. It's in the actions, not in the words. Because in their actions, them fighting, them going at each other on social media, Melody writing that song, that is not benefiting the children. It's tearing them apart. It's affecting them. But I feel like neither of them care. They only care about hurting each other. But they don't understand that that is also hurting their children. So, they both can't play tennis. So I was talking about Marceau and his brother Maurice. So he says he's not doing business with Martell if he continues to squabble with Mel. So Marceau puts the blame on Martell because he thinks that women are unable to control their emotions and will argue and will start arguments. But it's up to the man to be able to not get into a verbal altercation with a woman, because unlike a woman, a man should be able to control his emotions. So I'm thinking the reason why he didn't say Mel's name is because Melody has the building license, and that makes her more qualified than Martell and makes them more willing to want to work with her as opposed to working with Martell. On top of that, they don't really put too much fault on Melody for going off because they feel like that's what women do. Now, it is very misogynistic, but that's how they think. Maurice speaks on Dr. Francis and him having 2 wives, his business and his woman. Marceau says he's essentially the therapist talking BS, and he doesn't need therapy until it gets out of hand. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So he informed his friends and family that he's going through a depressive moment. And of course, if your family loves and cares for you, they're gonna want you to do something about it, or they're going to want to help you. And the fact that you refuse to take the help, but then you say, oh, if it gets to the point where I'm going crazy, that's when I want you to step in. That makes no sense. That is already too late. You go to therapy to manage your emotions. You don't wait until you get to a point of no return for somebody to do something about your issue. That makes no sense. Because now it's gonna take more work to get you back into a stable place, because you've allowed yourself to go crazy. Because you thought when you were in a, I guess, less dire situation, that you didn't need the therapy. And that makes no sense. So the women convene. Mel says she thinks Martell triggers her, but she doesn't start anything. And that's a lie. Because based on the interaction I saw in that comeback group meeting, Melody was the one that started the conflict. And most of the time, it's Melody that starts the conflict. I wonder if people see that. Yes, Martell engages with her and eventually squabbles with her. But Melody is the one that always starts it. We have to call a spade a spade. And yes, it's because she's hurting. Yes, it's because she's hurting. But call a spade a spade. She starts the drama most of the time. I feel like she wants to poke at him because she's still upset with him for what he did. She says Martell triggers her, but she doesn't start anything. She says Martell just leaving causes Mariah to cry. And Melody felt like Martell wants her to be a bad parent so badly that he would leave out the fact that the children were in the office in her building, because he felt like it's my time, and he's selfish. He wanted to be selfish with his time. Now I said, what are the women? She's asking the women the women are asking her what should they do when she's having an argument with Martell. And she's telling the women the best way to avoid arguing with Martell is to not be in the same room with him. And they're like, really? Because of course Martell is their friend. And if they're having any type of group event, they will invite Martell. So that's why they want to figure out what should they do moving forward. And of course, Tisha is like, well, I hope you guys can work it out. And of course they will, just not now. So Melody acts like she's moved on, that she's doing bigger and better things. But this whole wedding divorce thing is still bothering her till this day. So she said she doesn't want to be in the room with Martell until he grows up. But Melody also needs to grow up. It's not just a one-sided thing. It's not just a thing where it's only Martell. You also have to grow up. You guys both have to grow up for your children. It's not only one person. Okay. She says she goes in with positivity, but Martell throws jabs. Again, did we guys not see that episode? Did we not see the episode? As far as I'm concerned, Melody was the one that started with that negative energy. She's the one that did it. She started with the negative energy, and then it escalated from there. When they were in Vegas, she's the one that went up to him and started problems, and it escalated. From what I'm seeing, she's the one that starts it. So they go back with Tisha and Kimmy. Kimmy's thinking that she was not giving a phone call about the funds because of where they are. Their relationship is not that good now, and that's the reason why she was included in the group text. Now she's not used to being included in the group text. She's used to being called, personally by Tisha. Tisha felt like, I'm tired of doing this with you. Like, I'm the one always reaching out to you. You never reach out to me. So Tisha decided, you know what, I'm gonna change that. And Kimmy didn't like that. She didn't like it. And somebody said it perfectly. They said, Kimmy is mad because Tisha is adjusting the way she maneuvers around Kimmy based on how Kimmy reacts towards her or Kimmy's behavior towards her in the past. And to be honest with you, yes, I see Tisha that does things that's a little bit passive aggressive, but I also think that Kimmy does things as well. And in this case, I didn't think it was a big deal, but I feel like the real issue that Kimmy was having is because Tisha said that she only got funds from 2 people and it did not include Kimmy. Or did she say she only got funds from 1 person? Because I don't remember she mentioning Tiffany's name. I don't think Tiffany's name was mentioned or Kimmy's name was mentioned. And Kimmy felt a way about that because she felt like she's always been supporting them. And she did support them, but she didn't respond to the group text because she didn't want to be included in that because she felt she was above that, to be honest. So Tisha said she didn't have any malicious intent in the text message thing, and Kimmy says she supported a lot of their endeavors and felt disrespected when Tisha said only 2 people have sent money, and that bothered her. He hasn't. Okay, so yes, that's that. They eventually squashed it, and that's what it is. Now to Martell. So he hasn't studied for his builder's license because the guy he's working with, Felix, is expecting that Martell would get on that ASAP because they would get more legitimate business if he could get his builder's license. Then he's coming up with all these BS excuses about, oh, it's his children, and oh, it's this, and oh, it's that. And it's like, if you really wanted it, you would get it done. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not where your focus is. And then he eventually stopped with the excuses and said, oh, he's not really good at taking exams and this and that and yada, yada, yada. He clearly was not the brains of the operation when he was married to Melody. Look at how he's struggling now. Look at how he's struggling. He can barely pass and even study for his builder's license. At the end of the day, Melody may not have laid the bricks, but she has the brains and she has the accreditation to perform the business aspect of the building development. Whereas Martell may have the strength and may know how to lay the brick, but he does not have the qualifications to legally do business on his own. You understand what I'm saying? So Mel is calling Martell because she wants to talk to him about something. So turns out that Mel went on a date to her favorite restaurant. Now, on this particular episode, it's alluding to a date, but I think Melody cleared it up and said it was not a date. It was more of a business meeting that she went to. Anyways, Martell followed her into that restaurant, took his phone and snapped pictures and videos of her in that or on that date with that individual. Why would he do something like that? What would he be using it for? For him to blast on social media? I don't get it. You guys are divorced. And I don't think Martell is that dumb that he would take videos of his ex-wife on a date with another man and think that that is gonna affect people's perception of her. I feel like his attempts at slandering Melody is very comical because it's very stupid. If you guys were still married and you took a video of her on a date with another guy, yes, people might be wound up. But not now that you guys are divorced. That is not your business what Melody does in a restaurant with whoever she chooses to do it with. It's not your business. And I'm just racking my brain, trying to figure out what was the purpose of him doing that. So anyway, she came to check him up about that, because she felt like she's single. She could do what she pleases. Now, for Martell to have done that, it proves to me and to everybody watching that he still wants Melody. Despite him saying he doesn't want her and doesn't want to marry her again, he still wants her, or else why would you do all of that? Don't you have coleslaw to be worried about? And news on the block is that Martell has another woman. So news on the street is that he left Miss Coleslaw, aka Arion, his baby mama, and has moved on to another woman. And that's crazy. Okay, so Martell felt like I guess Martell wanted to gather some dirt on Melody because he felt like Melody slanders his name on social media. Even when he's talking about his outside child, listen to the tone with which he talks about his outside child. He lowers his tone because he almost does not want to say it out loud, because he knows it ruins his reputation. It doesn't sound good. And he doesn't want other people to hear that he has an outside kid. So he says that part very softly, because to be honest with you, he's ashamed. So he did terrible actions, and his life goal has been to try and find dirt on Melody so that Melody can also be bad. He doesn't want to be bad by himself. He wants Melody to be bad too. But his attempts have been failing. All the time they fail because they're stupid. Okay, so turns out Melody went to their favorite restaurant, and it's the kids' favorite restaurant. It's the family's favorite restaurant. People feel like Melody was being very vindictive when she did that. I don't see nothing wrong with going to a restaurant that you like. Even if when you were divorced, when you were married, that was your favorite restaurant. I don't see a problem with continuing to patronize the restaurant. But people feel like Melody is very vindictive, and she would do that purposely to hurt Martell. I don't know, maybe not, So Mel looks just like her mom. So I was saying that Melody looked like she gained some weight, and she's now starting to look just like her mom, Vanessa. So I said he saw her at the restaurant and pulled up on her, even though he was supposed to be in some type of meeting. Martell said he wanted her back again, and he disputes that and says that's not true. Then he shows her a picture of, I guess, the date that she was on, which to me made no sense. Martell looked so stupid in that scene. Like, I'm yet to understand what he was getting to. I didn't see the point. I didn't understand the point. It just didn't make sense to me. And Martell is he actually looked very pathetic this episode. I actually felt really sorry for him in this particular episode, because it looked as if he was grasping at straws, and he just looked ridiculous. He looked like a little sad puppy. I was so sorry. And normally I don't feel empathetic towards Martell, but in this episode I felt really empathetic towards him for some reason. I just feel like he's just trying to not be a bad person, but everything he does makes him a bad person, or makes him look worse than previously, But anyways, that's my little review for this episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I see the previews from next week. The couples are gonna be, Tisha is gonna be in the hot seat, because she had been perpetuating the rumors that Kimmy was a side chick, and we saw her do that. So that in that way, we know that Tisha is very passive aggressive. And then we have a situation with Melody and Martell as well. Anyways, you guys, we're gonna get into it when we get into it, but that's it for this particular review. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Like and subscribe, and see you next time for another episode of Melissa as I rest in the renting shop. Bye.